and just make sure that the normal keys are still working. WASD is fine, space, shift, shift. Great. So far so good. Now there was something about maximum limits for the camera rotation. So what we want to do is we kind of want to clamp. Do I have a clamp function at all? No. Okay. Do I have a utility? No, I don't. We're going to create a little bit of a utility set here. I want to create a, I'm going to call it a class, but it's not going to have a class in it. So we have some utility functions. One of the ones I want to do is I want to do a template. Type name C. So what I want to do is I want to return a T. I want to clamp T, our value, between a minimum and a maximum. So what this basically does is it returns standard min of the standard max of, yeah, I want to include algorithms here, of value and min max. There we go. So this will make sure that whatever we return from this is at least the, or at, is not less than minimum and not greater than maximum. And if it is, then it'll return minimum or maximum. Now the reason why I want that is because I would like to take our rotation X here, or rotation Y, and I would like to clamp rotation Y between minus GLM, and it has some variation of pi as far as I remember, which I'm not using at the moment. Oh, great, I forgot to switch C's again. Anyways, we need documentation for GLM. API, manual. Actually, Google GLM pi. GLM GTC const. So we have pi. We also have pi fourths, quarter pi. Actually, what I want is half pi, which we don't have. Anyways, so what I want to do is I want to take Y rotation and clamp it to between negative pi half and positive pi half. And yes, I would like to import the clamp function. And I need to tell it what type I would like. I would like a float pi. So if everything went to plan, I should no longer be able to look too far down or too far up. That did not go to plan. Instead, I've managed to limit my other rotation around Y because I'm terrible at axis. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to clamp the X rotation. The other thing I would like to do is I would like to say that if my rotation on Y is greater than GLM pi, it's a float, again, times 2, then I would like to subtract that. This is just so that we don't get massive values for the rotation because people start spinning around. And at some point we lose precision, which is always annoying. So we're going to just try and keep this between positive 2 pi and negative 2 pi. Could use even tighter bounds on it, but I don't think there's any real reason to do that. There we go. So if we refresh that, I'm going to grab the controller this time. So I can spin all the way around, and I can keep spinning, and I can only go down to here and go up to here. So that's good. So I guess that's the improved input system that I wanted to do today. The other nasty plan was messing around with terrain generation a little bit. But before we do that, we're just going to quickly take 14 minutes of breaks. So that's until 40 minutes past. And I'll see you back then. For now, enjoy a little bit of a break. back. I hope everybody enjoyed their quick little break. So, we're going to play around with a little bit of the terrain generation stuff. Going to prepare a little bit for the idea of biomes, but we're probably not going to get to that point today. If we do, I'll be mighty surprised. So, this is our generating routine right now. I'm just going to kill off a little bit of this right now. So the idea here is that we start with a basic height map here, where we have a scale and an offset on that scale. And so we look at the height, and then we go through the y-axis. We have a cutoff for that height field. We add some extra noise to that to try and sort of do these little carvings kind of in the terrain. And then we sort of set, based on how deep underground we go over to we either do dirt or stone, and if we're above everything, we do air. So what I want to do is I want to factor out some of these constant factors into the concept of a biome so that we can switch those around. And at first it's going to be really, really simple. I'm just going to do it right in line here. Struct biome. We are going to have a height scale. All of this is of course going to be floating point. Height scale and height offset. Then we are going to have a noise factor or noise scale. And we are going to have a grass depth. So these are sort of going to be the fundamental biomes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to declare the biome here. Just going to call it B here. This current one that we're using has a height scale of 32, has a height offset of 8. It has a noise scale of 0.1 float, and it has a grass depth of 4. So what I want to do is I want to say, instead of 32 here, we're going to say B dot height scale and B dot height offset. And down here we have a B dot noise scale. Then we have B dot grass depth. So this should, in theory, change nothing about what we generate. So if we do that, we're basically generating the same style of landscape. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to say this is sort of a baseline that we have. This is weird and wonderful, but it's not really particularly nice in any way. So what I'd like to try and do is to create, sort of scale these, see if we can do something more like a plane. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our height scale is just going to be 1. And we're going to offset it 0. We're not going to add any noise, and we're just going to have 2 as our grass depth. So this is going to be a much, much flatter terrain. Let's see how that looks. Well, it's definitely flat and it's a lot of stone. Oh, wait a second. I'm an idiot. So this noise scale thing here is literally the size of the noise that we're adding in, which I should have seen. What I'd like to also parameterize is the amount of noise that we actually create. And how much it impacts it. So what I actually want to be able to do is I want to be able to adjust the cutoff. So the noise cutoff is y minus. So what we want to do is we want to add noise effect, the effect of the noise on the terrain. And in this case, it is 0. The noise effect is also 0.1 F. And that's going to be this factor here. In this case, I want that to be set to 1, I guess. Because that will make the cutoff really high and will make it unlikely that as soon as y gets greater than the height, then the cutoff will become relatively large, which is what we want. Let's just try that again. So this looks interesting. Definitely not what I had in mind. Probably have a couple too many ones and zeros here. What we could do instead is we could just start with the old biome settings and then modify them sort of gradually, which might be a little bit easier. So we're going to just recompile with that. So this should be the old style terrain. Switch over and just verify that. Yeah, that looks like the old style terrain. Good. So what we want to do is we want something that's a lot less mountainy. So we're going to drop this first parameter a lot. And we're going to try that. So that gives much flatter terrain, but we're still very affected by the outcrops, it looks like. So I want to try and get rid of those a bit. And what I suspect I need to do is I need to increase the noise effect here. So if this becomes 1, for example, 1.0 F, compile that, linking, and we're done. Try and see how that looks. So yeah, this is much flatter terrain. we have some degree of sort of activity. Like to maybe do a little bit more up and down. So if we say like 4, then we can try to see how that looks.